2, 1.
Boom! And welcome to the Big Honker Podcast brought to you by Mossberg. I'm Jeff Stanfield with the world famous Andy Shaver.
Happy to be here today.
Oh boy, me too. Glad to be back in studio and back in Texas.
No place like it.
Nope.
Was the weather nice at least?
It was beautiful. I just got back from the West Coast, was in Seattle the whole time. I did some really cool stuff. I got to, a politician friend of mine pulled some strings.
Good.
And me and Michelle and Payne got to go on a nuclear submarine.
There you go.
And I was fascinated by it. I was fascinated by the men that serve on that, and they do have some women now. I don't understand why you would do that. I couldn't imagine that. I just don't think that would be good. Unless they're built like softball players, and they like other softball players. I just think it's too many issues there. But anyways, the confines, how tight it was in that thing.
Right.
I mean,
tiny.
Yes. The captain's quarters is the size of the closet in my office. I mean, there's no room for nothing. And they hot cot it. Do you know what that is? There'd be 2 bunk beds and 3 guys share 2 bunk beds. And they rotate around.
Who gets to sleep by themselves?
They rotate on.
I see. One person's working, 2 people are sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the whole time. And just and as you get on there longer, you get your own type deal. But the area is very consolidated. There will be like on the main deck where you got the periscope and stuff.
Yeah.
They didn't let me push no buttons in there.
Yeah, well.
But
politician friend ain't that good.
Everybody on there is in one little area, and people have different roles of stuff. I even met the submarine doctor. And I just be kind of boring, I think, with 100 people on how much stuff's going on. But when shit goes bad, it goes bad. But
so what? These people are just like working on their regular day, and it's like, hey, got visitors today.
They were dockside.
Oh,
people living on there. They was having meals. They were cooking in the galley.
Did they like eye roll whenever you came on? Like, oh fuck, here we go.
I think they thought we were somebody really important.
Oh.
They probably didn't like it no more than I would anybody coming touring our place. But the galley was about the size of this studio. Maybe that was the biggest building. That was the most open space in the whole submarine. Was this size right here.
Wow.
And they go down, and the claustrophobia would drive me crazy. And it was an interesting deal. We weren't allowed to take our cell phones nowhere. You had to put them in a lockbox before you could even get on the dock.
Well, that's all right.
But they're not as long as I thought. Now there's a new one out called the Jimmy Carter, and it's really big and it's all top secret and stuff. But the USS Ronald Reagan was there also, the aircraft carrier, and it was a very interesting. I really appreciated that. I have a lot of respect. I have a lot of respect for the military, anyways. But to serve that capacity and be gone for 3 to 6 months, underwater most of the time, it takes a special person. And they don't have Facebook and stuff on there. They don't have any they don't have any email. I mean, they don't have any kind of social media. When you're down, when that ship's down, you're done until they come back. They don't have anything available for you.
I just don't think that'd be very fun.
I would not enjoy it because the same person that's on the USS Ronald Reagan, you got Facebook, you got Instagram, right. You got stream movies. They don't get to watch football. There's none of that stuff. There's none of that. You're 200 foot underwater, however far underwater you are. There's nothing there.
Just come back up. I'm like, what happened when I was going?
It's a different world. I'm telling you right now, and I was very impressed with it. It's interesting. Come a long way from the Turtle or whatever that first submarine was. And I'll tell you what really amazed me is the nuclear powered submarine. I asked some questions that I could ask them. I could ask them, I couldn't, but I'm a question asker. How big are the generators on them? It's about the size of a generator that you'd see at an oil field. And that's what powers a submarine. So you've got 100 people, 120 people on this thing that goes forever. They've had nuclear powered submarines and boats since like 1952. You know how many incidents they've had?
None.
0.
Yeah.
It's clean, it's safe, but I'm not a Bill Gates guy at all. But Bill Gates supposedly is working on a nuclear reactors that'll be the size of a container box. So like you could put one in a town and run the whole town off of it. Because the USS Ronald Reagan has got 4 of those that power it, and there's 7,000 people on that boat.
Right.
and they got 4 of them, can power it and do everything. So could you imagine how nice and clean it would be if every town had one that did it and it's safe? Mm-hmm. It's interesting. So,
but everybody's all worried about Chernobyl.
At Chernobyl, and then the Kufuwaka or whatever it was in Japan,
3 Mile Island,
and well, 3 Mile Island, nothing even happened. It was just a scare.
But people got scared.
But when you hear nuclear, you're thinking of the nuclear warhead blowing up. You're thinking of Hiroshima all the time.
Yeah.
But it was a very interesting. That was my favorite part of my whole trip.
Was the sub?
The going down the submarine. I really enjoyed it. Then we did the drive home. Me and Payne drove home. Michelle flew home, and it's funny because Andy has said that we have a first class curse on us.
You do.
Anytime we fly first class, something happens.
Something's bad.
So we spent the night, Thursday night, right at SeaTac Airport. U-Haul, Payne's got his car. He's driving home. I'm following him. Michelle leaves at 3:15 in the morning. She goes and gets on American Airlines. And I made a post even, and I said, here I am driving a U-Haul home, and Michelle's at 30,000 feet drinking a mimosa at first class right now.
Yeah.
I get a text from your mother about 2.5 hours later, and she said, we are making an emergency landing in Amarillo because of mechanical failure. I'm like, what the hell? She goes, I'll text you when I land. I'm thinking, well, hope you land. And then they had smoke in the plane. Generators went out, lost radar and stuff. And they had to land in Amarillo. Mom then had to rent a car.
Which worked out not bad. Like, she got home 4 hours before she was supposed to. She had to take a rental car back to Abilene, but...
Yeah, she got home at 1 o'clock.
Yeah,
and it would have been
home at 5.
Yeah, because she landed at 1:30, and she was going to land at 1:30 in Abilene, or 2 o'clock, and time she got to, it would have been 3:30. So she got home about 3.5 hours earlier than she would have. Now she had to drive back to Abilene and get her car the next day.
She probably needed a grocery shop anyway.
But it worked out. She was very blessed. But it could have been Albuquerque, or Denver, or Salt Lake
100%.
City, or anywhere else.
Yeah.
But she would have missed.
She asked me what to do, and I'm like, I would err on the side of getting home. Like,
yeah.
Regardless of, she said she already had a short connecting window in Dallas to get to Abilene. So, like, regardless, you're probably not making your connecting flight. Get a car. But I mean, even just by the time you wait around Amarillo to get to Dallas to get to Abilene, it's 3 hours. Just drive.
Yeah, as soon as I got the message and I don't know how I got it, I just happened to be at a place I had some service, because in between the mountains, I was in and out of it. First thing I did was called your wife, and I said, hey, and she goes, yeah, Michelle's emergency land in Amarillo. I said, can you or Andy go pick her up? She goes, well, I have clients today. I can't. She goes, Andy can't, but he has to be back because he's got baseball at 7:30. So I called Tony, and Tony said, yeah, just let me know. I'll go pick her up if I need to. Then I talked to Mom, and she's like, I don't want to wait 3 hours for somebody to pick me up. I'll be home by
You'll be home.
And I said, that makes sense. So I told Tony, I said, Michelle's still on the plane, and she can't get out, but I'd been through this before. I said, make reservations for her, get her a car, because I know what's going to happen. As soon as everybody gets off that plane, I don't think Amarillo's got a whole lot of rental cars.
Probably not.
Anyways, and so it worked out, and she drove home. So that was her deal. She flew home. Me and Payne drove home. Went to Brigham City, Utah.
Huh.
One of the cleanest towns I've ever been to in my entire life.
The Mormons got it going on.
Beautiful, beautiful little town. Beautiful old church. The Mormons got these new churches that look like a factory.
Not as pretty.
I didn't think so. No markings on it, but
all of modern architecture is that way.
Oh, it's not very pretty. The old church is absolutely beautiful there. Very clean town. Spent the night there. Felt very safe. Then we headed home. We went from there to Salt Lake City to Moab, Utah, which is a destination of its own for people that like to dune buggy, mountain bike. It was crazy how many people were in this town. It was wall to wall people. It was like they was having a rock concert there. And that was Saturday, but it was packed with people everywhere we go. Went there, got outside of town, and me and Payne were about 10 minutes apart. I couldn't get him on the phone, and there's an arch right off the road, and I couldn't get a hold of him, and I was trying to get a hold of him. I come around the bend right there, and there was a white car upside down, and he's got a white, whatever kind of muscle car he's got.
Oh, paint? Yeah, that's right.
And this is a white car upside down, and it scared the shit out of me. I couldn't get a hold of him. They had a head-on collision, and the guy was hurt really bad. And it was a very scary moment. And a lot of prayers for those family. I don't know what ended up happening. I called a helicopter for them. It was 15 minutes. I was 15 minutes down the road before I even seen a cop go into the scene. So it was a bad deal in the middle of nowhere. So I got home and I started Googling Highway 191 Moab head-on collision. Shit, there's 15 of them a year there. I mean, it's crazy how many bad wrecks they have on that deal. But anyways, lots of prayers. If anybody knows anybody in Moab, Utah, and you can find out, please let me know. I'd really like to know what happened with those two men. But anyways, got home. We got to Albuquerque. We left Albuquerque because it was a shithole to stay in, and we ended up staying in Santa Rosa, New Mexico. Got home. It was a good deal. I'm glad Payne's home.
Santa Rosa ain't much fucking better
than Albuquerque. I didn't feel unsafe there at all. The old hotel, I stayed at the same hotel I got reservations for. And Payne says there's fencing all around it and it's bad shape. I go, I stayed at it. He goes, when'd you stay here? I said, I started thinking. I said, well, Luke worked for us. I said, shit, that's 20-something years ago. I said, never mind. It's been a long time.
I don't think Santa Rosa's anything to brag about.
No, but it was better than Albuquerque. I was ready to get home. I would have drove all the way home that night. It was a long drive. But
how much further was Santa Rosa than Albuquerque?
Hour and a half. Oh. So I got an hour and a half closer to home.
Yeah.
So anyways, that's what we did. So anyways, that was my last week. We had pre-done all of our podcast last week because I was gone the whole week, and I'm glad to be back in Texas. I didn't hardly see any wildlife anywhere.
It's not that time of year, Jeff.
Well, but you'd still think you'd see. I saw ducks and geese everywhere. Yeah. But you'd think that you'd see elk and.
Nah, they're hibernating.
Not hibernating.
Getting ready for the summer.
I didn't see anything. But anyways, World on Fire. I want to talk to you about something. Do you know what Second Life is?
This feels like a trick.
No, it's not a trick. It's an alternative world that people live in on the internet.
Oh, the upside down world.
Huh?
It's on Stranger Things.
These people joined this site called Second Life.
Damn it, that was going to be one of my on this day. The internet came about I think on the 30th.
Well, next year you could do it.
Damn it.
Anyways, Second Life is a platform that you can be anything you want to be. You can be fat, lazy, and sit at home, but you can be an Adonis on this thing. Mm-hmm. People take people on dates on this thing. Like you can take your significant other to the movies and pay for movies and go into popcorn and it's this fake person. It's not even there. That's what the world's come to. People don't even date normal no more. They've got this alternative ego that they are. There
was a movie called Gamer, and it's got Gerard Butler in it. The guy that played in 300.
Yes.
There's been a bunch of other movies. It's called Gamer.
White House Down.
But it's basically the same thing, except this was like a Call of Duty type thing. But people would implant a chip, and then
they're not implanting chips on.
I know that, but you gotta expand your mind and fast forward 50 years. Instead of playing Call of Duty where it's just a video game, which even then, what if that's not a video game? What if but anyway, in the movie, it's a real person that you control. So you got your stuff, and it's like a first-person shooter game. The guy that's in the game has this chip planted in his head, and you control everything. That's all weird. The movements and everything. So if your character dies, a real person dies.
Damn.
It's called Gamer, but it's kind of the same thing. These fat people, but there were other worlds where, so that was one. It was like a shoot 'em up type thing. But there were other worlds where you could be anything you wanted. So you could be, like you said, that fat, lazy slob, but you could be this hot blonde chick in this other world, and you control what she does on the screen. So dates, sex.
That's what happens on the Second Life.
Yeah.
People are I just don't get that.
But instead of it being like an avatar, which I'm assuming it is on Second Life, I know nothing about this. In Gamer, it's a real person.
Okay, well, this one here, I'm assuming is an avatar. But you can take people out on dates. You can buy tires for their car. I mean, people are spending real money on this shit. And I'm thinking, whoever thought of this is a genius. You're cashing in on fake stuff. But these people buy into this stuff. And that's their whole world. Yeah. What is going on with society?
Not enough alphas.
There's not. So we're in
Is Payne telling you about all this? Is Payne in Second Life?
No.
You just found Second Life all on your own?
No. Someone else told me about it, and I was like, bullshit. Someone's told me about it 2 times, so I had to look it up. Mm-hmm. No, it's not Payne. So I actually asked him about it. He didn't even know about it.
Thank God.
Yeah, no shit. So anyways, we go to, we're on the docks in Seattle, and walking by, and there's this ugly girl with makeup on, or an ugly dude with makeup on. No visible breast that I could tell.
Right.
Me and Mom are walking by, and he goes, or she goes, can I talk to you about transgender rights?
Sure.
Mom goes, oh God. I go, what? Can I talk to you about transgender rights? I go, what do you mean about getting more transgender rights? And I go,
you're
what?
you're in a liberal mecca.
I go, what fucking rights do you not have that I have? And Will just kind of looked at me funny. I said, seriously. I go, what fucking rights do you not have that I have? I said, you know what? You got a right to get a job and pay taxes just like the rest of us. That's it. There ain't nothing you're missing in your life that I have that you don't have.
Yeah.
Well, you're the third person said that today. Well, thank God there's two other fucking people that's got some brains in this town. And me and Mom started walking off, and there was an old couple. I'm old. I'm 57, but this couple was probably getting close to 70, I would guess, sitting on the bench, and this guy started laughing, and he kind of shook his head. I go, what's going on with these young people? He goes, I have no idea. I go, I can't imagine 30, 40 years what this is going to look like.
So this person didn't expand on what rights?
No, and I wish now I would have went back and asked what rights. But I didn't want to talk. I didn't want to fuck with them. I was waiting on the Uber.
Have?
But the bottom line is there's nothing that they don't have a right of that we have.
No.
Just like gay rights. There's not any right that a gay person doesn't have that we have. Mm-hmm. Not one.
Yeah, I saw a funny meme that said, gay people rely on straight people to produce more gay people.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. Very bottom line to that deal. But I just, it blows my mind that these people think that we've got all the, it's kind of like white privilege. I'm 57 years old. I've never seen that privilege ever. I don't, it doesn't exist. That's just an excuse. Now,
Cam Ward's got more privilege than I do right now.
a whole lot more than you do. That's right. Matter of fact, the guy taken last in the draft, if he was a black guy, has got more privilege than you have.
Travis Hunter.
Got a whole lot
way more privilege than I am.
But I get so.
But he's worked his ass off to get where he is.
No,
so.
I don't have nothing against him. Good for him.
Yeah.
Everybody in life, outside of the slavery that we encountered in our country, which was horrible, that we fought to get rid of, everybody.
The 60s were a pretty dark time.
There's times that people, but the majority of people, that anybody that has anything, somebody worked their ass off to get it. Mm-hmm. I don't know anybody that's living off the crown jewels from Europe still, other than the royal family.
Right.
I mean,
and they get a free pass.
Shaquille O'Neal, he's worth $600-700 million. Shaquille O'Neal grew up in a military family. Mm-hmm. He's made that money. He was blessed athletically, but he done something with it. There's a whole lot of other people that's been blessed athletically. Yeah. LeBron James, not a fan of LeBron James's at all. LeBron James has made every dime on his own. Mm-hmm. He's worth $1 billion. You know, his grandkids will never have to work again, ever, never, ever, ever. That's privilege.
Yeah,
I never had that. Mm-mm. So I get sick and tired of hearing about gay rights, white privilege, all that shit. Everybody's the same. This is 2025. There is nobody getting a free check. Well, there's a lot of illegals are, yeah, but there's a lot of people that we're finding out have been getting some free checks, but it damn sure ain't us. Mm-mm. But anyways, I could not believe this transgender deal. Michelle's like, oh God.
I sure wish you would have asked.
I wish
what their big sticking point is.
I wish I would have said, what do you need?
What do you need? What can I give you? I got a magic wand here.
Yeah.
Let's make it happen.
If you're going to tell me that you don't have the right to have a surgery to transition, you can pay for it.
You can.
I shouldn't have to pay for the damn thing. I don't care what you do. Mm-mm. I don't care who you sleep with. I don't care what you do. Don't force the shit down my grandkids' throats. Right. Don't go into girls' bathrooms if you got a penis or you had it whacked off.
But that's the thing is, like, you can transition.
Yeah.
You can do it.
You can do anything you want to.
You can go to, there are states that will do it. Do all states do it?
I don't have a clue.
I'm sure Washington's one of them.
I'm sure they're so freaking out there. And
so I don't know what you need.
No, I don't get that whole movement. And I feel sorry for the gay people on this deal because the gay people finally got some roads.
Yeah, they got their movement hijacked.
Yes, and people start, like when I grew up, we used to play Smear the Queer football game.
Wasn't always a queer.
Huh?
The guy that lost wasn't always a queer.
No, he wasn't even a queer, but that's just what we called the game, was Smear the Queer.
Yeah.
So you caught the ball and you ran and everybody tried to tackle you. We did and everybody played Smear the Queer. It was a normal type deal. So I grew up using that word. The F word was used quite often as a kid.
For cigarette?
Yeah, and that's what my grandpa called it for cigarettes in World War II. But it was, and then as
Mickey Rourke got kicked off of a show for saying it.
Did he? But
yeah, there was a
gay dude,
a lesbian, I guess, or non-binary or something. And he said, "Hey, I need a fag." And she broke down, and they got rid of Mickey Rourke.
It was a cigarette back in the day, but the lesbians are the worst of all of them. They're the most sensitive about shit.
Oh,
They hate life. I've never met a happy lesbian. I really haven't.
I've not met that many lesbians. So
I've never met a happy.
I'm gonna withhold judgment.
I've never met a happy lesbian. I know some gay dudes that are happy. But I've never met a lesbian that was happy ever. They're mad they didn't get a penis. I don't know what they're mad about. They're mad because they have the same haircut I have. I don't know what their problem is, but they are not very happy people at all.
Did they kick Rosie O'Donnell out of Ireland?
Oh, I don't know. It'd be a good move if they did, though.
I thought they did. I thought I read that she got her visa taken and like she's got to come back or something.
Well, we don't want her either. But the gay people got their whole platform hijacked by this trans deal.
Oh yeah.
And outside of the trans, I don't know anybody that's on the side of a trans deal. I don't care what you do, but don't try to. It's just not good for us. So I don't understand.
Yeah, I want to know. I want to know how that person feels like they're getting slighted here. Because as far as I can tell, this is one of the best countries in the world to be trans. Go do that shit in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Go do it in Afghanistan, Iraq, Iran.
Well,
go fucking go with your big old whiteboard over there and see how far you get. Go outside on a busy street in Iraq.
I got news for those people too. If you think you have problems as a gay person now, my future, what I see our country in 50 years from now, you're really going to be in trouble because the Muslims are taking over. I saw a map today of the Dallas area. They got like 20 new mosques have been built in the last 3 years. Those people don't like gay people.
No.
They kill their own daughters in honor killing, some of them. I mean, they're very extreme.
Yeah.
So if you think you got some problems now, you wait till 50 to 100 years from now when they take over, like in Europe where they've taken over.
Boy, that's going to make the liberals' head spin.
They're not smart enough to figure that out.
Yeah, but it's going to come a time when it does. And whose side are they going to be on? Are they going to be on the Muslim side or are they going to be on the gay side? Because their hand is going to get forced. If the Muslims keep going like they're going now, and it expands at this rate in 50 years, they're going to have to make a decision on whose team they're on.
Well, when they finally realize it's going to be too late.
Oh, it's going to be way too late.
And we're at that situation now. If you want to stop it, you got to do it now.
Yeah. And there will be other people that say, maybe you should listen.
Yeah. All these people like this, the Free Palestine still, this whole thing with that stuff right there, and then the anti-Jewish stuff. We don't have any Jews I even know of that live in our town. We also don't have any Palestinians that live in our town that I know of. But that's a war that's been going on for years, but it's coming to the streets here because there's so many people that are on the Muslim side now because when you go to Manhattan now, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
It used to not be that way. And they make me nervous. They really do.
Getting to a tipping point in America.
That's right. What do you think about Trump's pissing some people off? 90% of the things he does, I agree with.
This is the 10% you don't?
No. I don't disagree with this one. But there's some things he's done that I probably wouldn't have done. The Columbus Day's coming back.
I saw that.
I'm Italian. Now, Columbus never found America.
No, he did not.
But we've had a day for him forever. I don't, if you want to do an Indigenous Day, people do another day, but give the Italians our day. We don't get much. I mean, if it wasn't for us, we wouldn't have organized crime.
Wouldn't have spaghetti.
Best food in the world is Italian food. Italian and Mexican, best two foods in the world. And Cajun food. 1, 2, 3.
I would disagree with that.
You don't like Mexican food.
Take the Mexicans out of it.
Yeah, you don't like Mexican food. But yeah, Columbus Day's coming back. I don't believe in changing history. I don't think you should take in all the Confederate. I'm not a Confederate person. I'm not even a Civil War buff. But I don't understand why you took all that stuff down.
I could understand getting rid of Columbus Day. He didn't even find America. He led to the finding of America. If anything, it should be like the Leif Erikson Day.
Here you go, ripping on my damn.
I just mean it's
agree
built
with
on
you.
a false premise. Like he found Honduras, I believe, or
Hispaniola.
Hispaniola.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I mean, he didn't even find America. Now, his what he did find led to them funneling more money into sending more boats over here, and then we found.
Did he
Florida.
ever even put his foot in Florida?
No.
That's what I'm saying.
So I mean, I understand. Like, if there's a day that you can get rid of, it would be Columbus Day because he didn't find the country that it's celebrated in. Do any other countries celebrate Columbus Day? Does Italy? Spain?
Well, it didn't find them. They were there.
I know that, but you would
do
think
Marco
like
Polo Day, probably.
He's this great explorer that found this new land. Do they celebrate them
But
the way that we do in America?
But why does everybody hate him that's not Italians? The indigenous people. Why do they hate it all? If he's not here, why do they hate him so bad? He didn't do nothing to their demise. They were fighting and killing each other.
Once again, he led to that. He led to their demise.
No, there was never. They were never. This is really going to piss people off. What did they do that was so great?
The Indians?
Yeah. What did they do that was so great?
Probably, if you look at, I mean, just the romantic is.
Whoa. We're not doing on romance.
I'm just saying that just that freestyle life, no roots, no, permanent roots, nomadic. And
how many people do you know that live that lifestyle that are contributing to society?
None. But that's what I'm saying is I don't think that there were a whole lot of things that the Indians did give us other than a story now.
Okay. I'm not knocking Indians in a hole. And there's some damn things that we did, like the Black Hills kicked them out when we found the gold and stuff. There's some things we done to them that's bad. But amongst themselves, they never done anything.
They never advanced.
None at all.
Right.
They were status quo. They were happy with what's going on. You kill us, we'll kill some of you. We'll rape your women, you rape our women, and we'll steal your horses, you steal our horses. This whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it's went on forever. Then we came here, or say we, white man came over here. Mm-hmm. We brung disease, and we conquered, and we built this huge country and made it successful. It was never going anywhere without us. Mm-hmm. I don't understand why they hate so much for the advancements that we brung, because they were killing and fighting each other the whole damn time.
We put them in houses, Jeff. They don't want houses.
If you go through an Indian reservation around Farmington, New Mexico that I saw yesterday or the day before,
they don't want it.
And by God, you can tell because it's all trash.
Right. They don't want it.
What do they want?
They want to be able to be, I don't know what they want. I'd have to ask one like you got to ask the transgender. I guess they want to go back to free living and that. I don't know.
Well, when I watch the shows like Life Above the Arctic Circle or whatever, Life Below Zero, that's on deal, and they've got subsistence living, so they can hunt geese all year round and ducks and deer and whatever they want to. I got no problem with that. Give your ass a freaking string, some wood, and a rock, and fucking shoot a bow and arrow at them. Mm-hmm. Don't use modern things to do all that stuff.
Yeah, I agree.
And quit blaming it on us when you've got that area still that's yours.
Right.
Name a place, a reservation that is booming in this world. There's not one. Mm-hmm. They have casinos.
Yeah, doing well.
That's it. And like I said, I'm not against, I just don't understand why we have to have an Indigenous People Day to take over the same day that was Columbus Day. Columbus Day is a hoax. He never came here. So you're going to bring back Columbus Day. Give the Indigenous days. If we're going to give them a day, give them a day. But I don't understand why we're giving them a day either.
Right. I thought you were going to talk about the Harvard lawsuit with Trump.
The Harvard lawsuit. What are you talking about?
Yeah, they're going to freeze Harvard's
$2 billion a year.
Yeah,
we should.
You think so?
Why shouldn't we? Why should we give
free speech
a school that's got $50 billion? They're free. It's free. They can do whatever they can say, whatever they want to. But why does the taxpayer have to give them money? I would rather spend $1 billion.
But how does all that work, though?
Okay, they use the premise that they are doing research. We need $2 billion to do research. We've done so many advancements in cancer, blah blah. Well, how much money have we spent on this advancement of curing cancer in the last 20 years?
Right, but Trump has painted it as a lot of the protests that are going on the Harvard campus are anti-American and
anti-Semitic
and anti-Semitic, and we should not be giving our money to a campus that would allow that.
I agree with him. All
campuses.
That's
a slippery slope, though.
We shouldn't give them money. Speech. They can do what they want. They can have their speech, but we shouldn't pay for it.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just if they are doing what they say they are, and you're giving them money for the research that they're doing. And the reason that you're pulling it away is because you don't like the way that they're talking. I just don't know if that's a good... I just don't know that sets a good precedent.
Okay.
I agree that there should not be anti-American, anti-Semitic speech on campuses, but I just don't know how you go about it. So I want to get that out there, that I do agree with... I don't like it, but I also leave room to acknowledge the fact that You know, is there going to be a president one day that uses the precedent that Trump set, and you've got this big patriotic rally on a campus and they are not patriotic and they're like, whoa, 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 whoa. We're not giving you any more money. We can't see these red, white, and blue flags out there. Under the foundation of what Trump has laid.
If you went to Ole Miss, and I'm just using them as an example because it's a Southern university, so this is nothing on Ole Miss, but they were having a Ku Klux Klan rally. Mm-hmm. And he says, if y'all allow this Ku Klux Klan rally and have hatred towards black people or Jews or whoever it is, people of color, whoever the KKK hates, and we're giving you $2 billion a year, if you allow them to do this here,
no more.
We're going to pull your funding. Nobody would complain at all. Everybody be like, oh, hell yeah, that's right. They should be. And I agree too. But Northwestern gets $700 million a year. They got $14 billion in a trust in their endowment. Mm-hmm. I don't know why we're giving them money. Harvard's got what, $50 billion in their endowment?
They can pay the light bill
easily. They're paying Elizabeth Warren $550,000 to teach one class, and she bitches about cost of tuition. Yeah. Well, why don't you work for free or cut it down to $50,000 a year? You know, I don't feel sorry for these Ivy League schools. I think all these college tuitions are too high. College tuitions are either for the uber wealthy kids or the poor kid, and the government pays all the bills, and they keep going. Tuition keeps going up because the government's going to pay for all these kids. I think we should cut them off. You tell me some research. Take that $2 billion in a research grant and give it to St. Jude Hospital and put some doctors on it working on cancer. It's just doing that, not teaching their liberal ways or whatever it is. And I agree with you. They shouldn't be teaching right-wing ways there. You're supposed to go to school, get an education.
Yeah.
And if the government's paying, I'm sick of tax dollars being wasted on those bullshit. And it's everywhere. Enough's enough. Show me what you've done with our $2 billion, what we're getting out of it.
Right.
I mean, what research you did. And the problem is, and we talked about this a couple weeks ago, if you're doing transgender frog studies in the Amazon and you're wasting $1 million amount of tax dollars, that's wrong. And that's the problem. We've got way too much waste going on. So Harvard don't need our money, they say. Well, don't give it to them.
And then you can do all the Gaza and all your other protests that you want to do.
You can put a Gaddafi statue up on the main square if you want to. That's your business.
It just worries me because that's always the thing is like hate speech is just what speech you don't agree with.
That's true. Very true. I think the Palestinian, this free Palestine stuff's getting way out of hand in a lot of places. And a lot of these people have bent backwards for them. And you've got all these people that hate our country, but they're getting paid to come. They're getting these checks and stuff. It's like the kid that they shipped out that was doing all that New York stuff, and he was married just a couple weeks ago, and that was the big stink is that they sent him to Cuba to Guantanamo or something, and he was married, poor guy's wife. He's just here to be an engineer, but no, he was all the rallying and all this Palestinian.
I don't remember that one.
It was just a couple of weeks ago.
I missed it.
Hate America, all this stuff, burning flags and stuff. Screw him. You're not an American citizen. You burn my flag, send my ass out of here. Just like if I went to Mexico and I burned a Mexican flag and caused shit and they sent me back somewhere, nobody would bat an eye at.
No.
But America, we keep giving in to these people, so I'm glad we're not doing that. So I'm with them on defunding any college. I wish they'd defund all colleges, to be honest with you. I think that you ought to, if as much as they charge for tuition, they don't need our freaking tax dollars.
Right.
You seen one go broke lately?
They're all expanding
all the time, and I think they're getting less tuition or less attendance now.
Probably,
but I don't have a problem with them defending all them Ivy League schools, any of the private schools. You got all this money and stuff, and you got all these liberal things. I'm tired of it. I'm sick of all this shit. Let me see what else I was going to talk about.
Well, I know why Gene Hackman's family doesn't visited him. Have you seen that inside of that fucking house?
No.
There's clutter everywhere.
What do you think it was that way 5 years ago? Or do you think she was dementia too? They were both real sick.
Well, I mean, they said that the kids hadn't visited them in several years. I doubt it just got that way.
I don't know.
There's 5 years worth of shit. There's 10 years worth of shit just stacked up everywhere.
He was a hoarder.
It was just like in one part of the like where they found her body. It's just shit cluttered everywhere.
So they didn't live in a nice, clean house and had a housekeeper every day.
No. I can pull it up right here. No, it was horrible. Horrible. But basically, like, the house was so big that I don't even think he knew. I doubt he even... I doubt he even
The sad thing
went to the side of the house
The
that she was
sad
found in.
thing is that they sat in that house and were dead for a week or something. That nobody noticed it. That's sad.
There's inside their house.
Hey, Baba.
Turn that down.
I'm sitting right there.
Where's he?
He's actually, I don't know how to get there through here. If we walk back outside, there's another door.
So he's in a totally separate spot.
Yeah.
Way separate. Like,
Yeah.
he's on that side of the
He's, like,
house.
upstairs.
Upstairs. It would make sense of why that door was open.
But I think he might have been found in a different part of the house that was kind of kept up, but where she was, like that part of the house isn't bad, but wherever she was, wherever the
Buddy.
cops first go in,
I guess
just
Connell's gonna come down as well.
Okay.
like they had like basically like had like paths cut where they would walk. But now I know why they weren't visiting. No one wants to go in that.
He was a hell of an actor,
Yeah, he was.
and they sound like he's a pretty good dude.
Oh, really? I
For
don't
the
know
people
anything about him.
people around there that had talked nice about him, but you know, it's like it always is. When you die, you're always
Oh, yeah.
a better person when you're dead than you were when you're alive, anyways.
Yeah. Oh, here's more of it. Just clothes everywhere. Shit strung out on the cabinet. I'd have had a housekeeper. That kind of money. We're getting a house cleaner. We're getting a house cleaner.
I drove by the Seattle shipyard Thursday, and there was one ship in port,
Yeah.
and usually that thing's bustling, going.
Oh, imports.
Yeah, nothing there. I mean, there was one ship there, and there was no activity. There was nobody in the shipyard. Because I told Mom this was like 7 o'clock, 6 o'clock Thursday afternoon, and we drove by there. I said, "Look at that shipyard." I said, "There's nothing there."
Yeah.
I mean, all them, all the dock was just set, and they say LA's is the same way, and we've got a tough road ahead of us as a country, but we have to fix this. We can't just keep punting the ball down the road. We can't. And that's what we've done. We just keep kicking the can, and that's where we've gotten in this situation. We rely on all these countries to
It's going to be painful.
all of our goods, and there are going to be a lot of companies you're not going to be able to get a lot of stuff from. I saw one guy bitching. His daughter's prom dress, he paid $19 on Temu. And I was thinking, who the hell gets a prom dress for $19? But he's pissed off because it costs $53 now after the tariffs. And I'm thinking, you got your daughter,
You're
you
still
got a
coming out
$53
ahead.
prom dress, you're way ahead. That's what I was thinking too. But we've got a lot of products that we use on a daily basis, this country does, that it's going to take 6 months to get everything redone.
What about like pharmaceutical?
That comes from India, most of it, they say. And I think some of it probably comes from. We've got to start making that shit here. We're going to have to do it. I can't believe you're paying someone 10 cents an hour to make hydrocodone. And I don't know. I don't know. I'm talking out of line on that because I don't know much about it. But you can buy pharmaceuticals out of Canada and they're cheaper than the United States.
And Mexico.
Yes. So it can't be that hard to set up shop to do that in America.
I don't know.
But we got so much regulations on us. We make it so much harder on ourselves. I'll give you a tax deal, or just on taxes. So I bought gas. The first time I bought gas in Seattle. $4.79 a gallon. I bought gas I bought gas, filled up again in Yakima. Or somewhere around Yakima, I got gas again. It was $4.69 there. And I was getting gas. I was like, God almighty. The guy was at the pump next to me. And he kind of looked at me and he said something I don't remember. And I said, damn. I said, y'all's gas is high here. He goes, where are you from? I said, Texas. He goes, yeah, it's high here. I said, yeah, $2 more a gallon higher. I go, that don't bother y'all? Well, kind of, what are we going to do about it? I thought, it's just taxes. Where's your tax dollars going? I mean, where's all this $2 a gallon extra that you're getting on taxes that we're not getting?
Right.
And let's say it costs 50 cents more to ship it up there to sell it. You're still $1.50. But the further south I went, the cheaper gas got. I think what's gas here right now? $2.29, $2.20?
No, it's more than that, but not $4.
$4.69, almost $5 a gallon. I think $4.89 I saw it one time.
They're used to it.
That's just crazy, though, that the gas prices are that much. But back to the tariff deal. So a friend of mine, and I'm not going to say his name, we had this conversation. His family's in business that they get stuff from China sent over here. They sell stuff to big corporations. And I'm just going to use this. This is not the company because I do not want to get in the middle of this thing. I'm just going to use this. I'm just going to say this company because this is not the company. And I'm going to say that they build radio controlled cars.
Okay.
They're not nothing like that, but I'm just going to use it. They buy radio control cars. They get them out of China and it costs them $10 a car. They sell them, and we'll say Walmart. They sell them to Walmart. And Walmart, no, that's not even a good example because it wouldn't have been like that. It would have been like a touristy type place. They sell them in Branson, Missouri. They got a place that sells these cars. We'll just say these are big companies that are buying this. It's a big corporation. And so they went to them and they said, listen, they buy them from $10 out of China. They sell them to this big thing for $15 a car. That place sells them for $50. Mm-hmm. So they go to them and they said, listen, we can't get that car anymore for $10. It's going to cost $17.50 for that car. We're going to charge you $23 now is what it's going to be. And then this big touristy place says, okay, we need them. We're going to sell them. But what we're going to do, instead of selling them for $50, we're going to sell them for $70 now because of the tariff.
Right.
So this big company is making $10 extra per product they sell, using the tariff as an example. And I told him, I said, that's the greed going on. Well, what do you mean? It's the tariff. I said, no, they didn't just mark up the extra $7 it cost to make the car. They're making an extra $12.50 off the deal and using that as an example. I go, that's the big problem we have in this country is the greed of the corporations. I'm for everybody making money, but people are using this tariff as an excuse to mark the prices up when they're not going up that much.
Business owners. I mean, you're in it to make the most amount of money you can, and if you can sell your car for $70 and still sell out of them, then
you're right on that. But we're using the tariffs as an example of a profit maker, like we did COVID,
right?
And things will never come back down, even when the tariff deals get straightened out. But there are some things I'm really worried about us getting in this country for a while until things change.
Like what?
I don't know, but there's going to be some products that you use that are going to be hard to find.
I don't
in the
think
next
so.
couple of, you don't think so?
No.
You don't think you have anything in your household that's made overseas? Anything?
Oh, I definitely do, but I don't think that it's going to stop coming over here. That's going to alter my life.
And not alter. I just think that there's going to be things that you're not going to be able to find on shelves. Cleaning products.
Oh, we'll have it here.
We should. Okay, you're drinking Pellegrino.
Yeah,
right
I'm trying
there.
to figure out where it's
I bet
made,
it's
or
bottled
where it's
in America. I bet Pellegrino's bottled in America and just put some Italian deal on it.
Bottled at the source, San Pellegrino, Italy.
So that's an Italian product.
This is.
Okay.
That's what I like.
But Topo Chico's made in, is it Mexico or America?
I don't know. I drink Pellegrino.
Well, maybe you have to switch over to Topo.
They're more expensive.
So you're telling me that Pellegrino's is cheaper than Topo Chico, but they're both
Because of this.
because of what?
Plastic.
Oh, and Topo Chico's got glass.
I would assume that's the reason why.
That makes lots of sense too.
I mean, I'm just spitballing here. Yeah, Pellegrino. Made in Italy. I'm not that worried about it.
It's made in Monterey. Well, there's going to be some things that we're going to all have differences on. The things are going to be different. I did see where they're going to start making iPhones in Vietnam. Vietnam was smart. Vietnam went to Trump first and said, hey, we'll take a lot of this stuff, and they're going to get a lot of the manufacturing business.
Bring it over.
And that's going to be good for them.
We're willing and able. Sending all the prisoners to San Salvador.
I'm good with that too.
Everybody's just, all these other places are just stepping right on up.
Do you think that we ought to have, back to the Indian deal, do you think that we should be given these reservations, should get all the tax breaks, casinos, and everything free? I mean, how long are we going to go this way?
Yeah, I don't know.
Are we going to go 100 years of giving them all this free shit?
Yeah, I don't know when you get off. But that goes back to a lot of other things is they're just accustomed to it always being there. So it goes back to like the tariff thing. Like, yes, we need to fix it. Yes, there's going to be pain, but now with the Indian reservations, like we've gone so long, how many generations of these Native Americans are used to the housing or used to the checks? Like you can't just be like, okay, we're done.
But I don't get.
But I don't think it should go on forever.
No, there's got to be a time. It's kind of like the reparations. These people go, we need reparations for what? We never owned slaves.
But you can't take a 45-year-old Native American that spent his entire life that way and been like, all right, figure it out. You got it.
But what generation do you cut off?
Do you wean them off?
I mean, I don't know, but I don't understand why it's our
Do you tell them,
responsibility.
hey, in 2050, we're done. We've paid what we think that we owe you. 2050 will be the last check, last whatever. Beyond that, good luck. You give them 25 years notice? I don't know. I don't know the answer here, but it just goes right back to the tariff. It just, yes, things need to change. There's going to be a lot of growing pains, and we got to figure out things might cost more for a little bit. We got to figure out a way of getting this stuff back over here.
What's crazy is you'll drive like by these reservations, and it's just total shit. Looks like a dump. Old broken down cars, trade. They don't take care of nothing. It don't look
Because
like
it was given to them.
right. And then you go down the street a mile or two, and then there's a thriving ranch there. Nice house, nice. Everything's cleaned up and looks good. And you're like, well, what's going on here? How come you've got all this land you don't have to pay taxes on? You got tons of, and you can't make it work, but these people can right here.
Yeah.
There's got to be a time that we cut shit off.
I agree.
And it's we're getting to that point.
But it can't be just cold turkey, I don't think.
Well, your cold turkey deal makes sense, but there has to be some time in the future where we're going to have to say, hey, it's time to stand on your own feet. It's like the reparations deal. I get so sick and tired of hearing about that. We need Why do you need reparations? What in your life? I could understand someone who's been a slave their whole life and they never had a chance to get it to anything of their own, them wanting some help. But we're talking 100 years later, 120 years later, 150 years later. Why can't you do shit on your own? You know? Why do we have government housing with fourth generation people living in it? So somebody in them generations couldn't buy a house or get off on their own?
Yeah, I mean, that's the... So I just looked it up on ChatGPT. Do any other countries in the world pay reparations to former slaves? No.
Yeah, of course not.
Besides the U.S., no country besides the U.S. has formally paid widespread reparations specifically to descendants of former slaves in the way the U.S. often debates doing.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So 1833, Britain paid reparations, but not to former slaves. They paid 20 million pounds to slave owners as a compensation for losing their property. Wow. Huh. Haiti had to pay reparations to France, not the other way around. In Haiti, after Haiti's enslaved peoples won independence in 1804, France forced Haiti to pay independence debt, the equivalent of billions today, to compensate French slave owners for their loss. Haiti was crippled financially for over a century.
See,
So it's
that's
often
wrong.
the other way.
Yeah, and that's wrong too.
Germany is the only thing that has like paid a reparation, and they paid to the Jewish.
How much do they pay them?
It says billions. Doesn't give me a figure. To Jewish Holocaust survivors and to Israel.
But I do not. I'm so sick of hearing about reparations. It's all a political deal. It's all it is. I'm sick of that. I'm just sick and tired of us having to be responsible for stuff that happened years and years and years and years ago. If you gave somebody a reservation and you gave them 10,000 acres or 50,000 acres or 1,000 acres, that's a head start I never had.
British taxpayers only finished paying off that loan from 1833 in 2015.
Wow. But you and me don't get nothing free because of our ancestors.
Mm-mm.
And what happened with the Indians, a lot of that was really bad. I agree with that. I do. But it was also a time of conquer and be conquered. It happened everywhere. I mean, they were doing the same thing to each other.
Right.
I never heard of an Apache coming up and telling the Comanches, we took some of your land, so we're going to give you 20% of our reservation. It ain't going to happen.
Here it is. Yeah.
But it's that victim mentality that our country is saddled with right now. And it's really bad with the young people.
Guilt.
I don't have guilt.
Well, I don't either. But I think things are so good here that a lot of people that are my age and younger have seen this, maybe we'll say privileged lifestyle, and they see the downtrodden, and I don't know, it's just fucked up in the head.
I mean,
they just don't see, they haven't seen the struggle from their parents or their grandparents or their great grandparents to get where they are today. You take a teenager in Highland Park or somebody in their 20s that weren't around for the struggle, but were there for the BMWs and the big houses. And they're like, it was fucked up what my grandparents did. How can I make it better? I don't know. That's the only thing I can think of.
It's gotten so old, and boy, I drove through all that.
I think we're seeing a shift though, because I think college people went out for Trump in a big way. And I think that is the shift that we're seeing. I think a lot of especially white men are like, no, fuck that. We're done. Like, I got nothing to feel sorry for.
No, I don't. And they're right.
So
they shouldn't.
I think we're starting to see the tide turn with all that, especially if you kind of look at the way that college kids voted this year.
White kids white men especially better wake up real quick, because they're the victim of everything. Everything that happens, and not victim's not the right word. Everything that happens in the world is because of the white guy. Sick of that shit. It's okay to hate us because we're white, and that's bullshit. It'll be the same standard. This murder thing at this track meet, the biggest bunch of shit ever. Kid stabs a kid in the chest, and then everybody's going to come out and say he's a victim. It was rainy. It was cloudy. He was being bullied. Whatever. Bullshit. A white kid stab a black kid in the heart. Put a bullet right between that white kid's eyeballs. I don't, skin color shouldn't have anything to do with it. And I'm sick of it being an excuse all the time in our country. Every time something happens. The same with the Shedeur Sanders shit. It's racism. It ain't fucking racism. The black quarterback was taken first. 80% of the people drafted were black. It's not a black-white issue. It's all the distractions that Deion Sanders brung by doing this kid, retiring his jersey, telling teams in January, it's on all the NFL during the Super Bowl, we're only going to play for a few teams. We're not going everywhere. Well, and then Shedeur goes to the Giants and is playing video games during the deal. Brian Daboll gave him some work to do to go over it, and he didn't even have enough respect for him to do that. And you wonder why they don't draft him. If I'm hiring a kid, let's say I'm a hospital and I've got to hire a new surgeon to come in, and I bring in 10 guys, and I told one of them I want to find out how to fix an aorta or some shit. How would you do it? And tell him, this is the problem. I want you to come give me an answer. And he comes in, he's on his phone. Yeah. Well, my dad's a chief surgeon at Johns Hopkins University. Well, fuck you. I'm not hiring you. I'm going to hire a kid that wants a job. That's what happened with Shedeur, but they want to make it a race deal. Oh, it was all race, just like Colin Kaepernick. Colin Kaepernick wasn't a race deal. It was a distraction. He wasn't that good. Tom Brady could have kneeled and done all that shit, and he'd have a job the next day.
They'd have put up more shit.
Yeah. If Shedeur Sanders goes to Cleveland, he plays lights out like Deshaun Watson did when he was at Houston, or the way that Jaden Daniels did, then guess what? He can be a distraction. They don't care.
Yeah.
But it's not a white-black deal. But every time something happens recently, they want to make it a race deal. And I'm so freaking sick and tired of that shit. I'm tired of it. I've never had anything given to me in my life because I was white. At all. And you haven't either. And we're taking that work ethic away from people because you can't reward them for being work ethic, because if they're not the right color, then they shouldn't get nothing because they only got it because they were white. And that's bullshit.
Quinn Ewers, I mean, how far did he fall?
7th round.
He's a white kid.
Miami Dolphins. Probably went to the best situation he could have ever went to, because it's him and that Skylar Thompson kid who's not very good. It's a backup.
Right.
Tua gets hurt every year.
I mean, but who would you put? Who do you think put up? I mean, Quinn Ewers played in bigger games than Shedeur did.
Went to the playoffs 2 years in a row. Won a couple playoff games.
Right.
Had better numbers probably. Well, I don't know. He's hurt some, but yeah, he was a winner the whole way around. Shedeur went 13-12 and was 1-8 against good teams.
Right.
And they'll say, well, he didn't have a good offensive line. Well, it don't matter. His stats were not that good. He was inflated to be where he was because Deion built him up. Everything they did was to build that kid up. And I don't have nothing against the kid. If a kid's a good kid, and he turns out to be good for him. He never got in trouble. He's not a bad kid, I don't think, but his dad's his problem, and I don't have nothing against Deion. Deion's a dad. All dads are the same, but LeVar Ball was not good for his kids, and Deion Sanders is not good for his son, I don't think. I think if Shedeur would have been Joe Jackson's son, nobody knew who Joe Jackson was, just a kid that played quarterback, black kid, same thing, at Colorado, I think he probably would have been a 3rd-round draft pick. I don't think he was a 1st round because they said his feet work's not very good. I don't know.
And he took unnecessary sacks. That was another big knock against him. Like, Dan Orlovsky's he's broken it down beautifully. Like it's 3rd and 7, you're inside the red zone, and you take a 30-yard sack.
That was stupid. Yep.
And it's like plays like that over and over and over again.
But his dad never got onto him.
We don't know that.
Well, we don't. But I think Dion treated his son different than he does some of the other players.
I don't know. I don't know that either.
Someone said, and I don't know how true this is. I read it. It said, Shedeur had a birthday party and none of his teammates came, and that speaks highly if that's true. Mm-hmm. But just like Dion come out today, well, I want to go with him to Cleveland when he sits down with them, kind of get the plan for Shedeur, what we're going to do. You're not irrelevant on this. Could you imagine? One of the announcers said, "Could you imagine at Colorado if you got a quarterback coming in and the guy's dad said, well, I want to be there to see what kind of play." No bullshit. This is my program.
I want to talk to you, Mr. Sanders. What do you got? What do you got in plan? What do you got in store for my son?
But I think the Shedeur also is a big issue because of the NIL, and he didn't have to have money because he comes from money. Mm-hmm. But it's an NIL deal. Now, New Orleans didn't draft him when they had their chances. Mm-hmm. New Orleans is probably going to suck this year and have the first pick in the draft. Guess who's picked to be the first player taken in next year's draft?
Quarterback.
Arch Manning.
Oh.
New Orleans. I mean,
I don't know about that. I mean,
I don't know that he's going to be any good as a starter.
Based off of what?
That's the mock draft right now.
I know, but why would you say that about Arch Manning? He doesn't have...
That mock draft has him as the number one player taken next year.
But does he even have a full game's worth of footage out there at the college level?
I'm not saying he's going to be number one. I'm saying the mock drafts have him as number one. They also have New Orleans as having the worst record in football this year.
Has he played a full game in college yet?
Yeah, he started 4 or 5 games this year when yours was hurt.
I don't know.
He has. I'm not saying, I don't know if he's going to be any good or not. I've not been a big Arch Manning. You haven't heard me say Arch Manning needs to start all year, have you? No. So I'm not on that boat. I'm just telling you the mock drafts.
I guess we'll see.
I saw 2 mock drafts yesterday or last night. Arch Manning was the first player taken. Both teams was New Orleans because they're supposed to have the worst record. And I thought, well, shit, if you're sitting in New Orleans at New Orleans and, we can take a quarterback and be we can't, if we take Shedeur this year and we still finish in the bottom, it don't make no sense to take a quarterback 1 next year. Mm-hmm. So if we're going to be bad, let's do it. And then if Arch Manning is like Eli or Peyton or Arch Manning, we've got a good quarterback.
Time will tell. But I just don't think there's enough tape out there to be like, oh, yeah, he's the guy.
Well, I don't either. He's not Andrew Luck, I don't think. But he may be after he plays all year long, and he may not be. I mean, Jaden Daniels, nobody thought he was going to be a top 5 pick when he come around. Mm-hmm. Caleb Williams, they did. When he went from OU to USC, they expect him to be the first player taken. But that's one of the, the storylines right now is that New Orleans is going to have the first pick next year. And New Orleans might end up winning 6 games. Who knows? I could see Jacksonville being terrible again.
Well, what kind of ass chewing would you give your kid if you're that old brick guy?
Oh. Oof.
You know how embarrassed you would be? And here's the thing. The dumbasses videoed themselves doing it. So now you got no defense.
No, when you're 20 years old and you're stupid, you're stupid.
I mean, you're as clear as day sitting over there. And it ain't like your dad can go just find another $1 million. It ain't like he can just go find another job that's going to pay him a couple million a year.
They didn't. They told him they're not disciplining
I know
him.
that. But he didn't know that for a first day or two. Well, Jeff had to be shitting bricks.
Well, he didn't. He wasn't even thinking about it until then. The kid wasn't. He wasn't thinking about his dad.
No, I know that. But I mean, just the ramifications that could have played out. What if Atlanta did have a burr up their ass and like, well, you're gone? Let
me ask you a question.
You were irresponsible with sensitive information. Your kid found a phone number on your iPad that was team issued. Give it back. Turn your shit in. You're done.
First of all, for everybody that don't know what's happening here, Shedeur Sanders was live streaming his
got a call
3 days of hell.
Lowest moment of this poor kid's life, and you got to have a human side to you here.
It was terrible, but it was funny.
I mean, this is the biggest moment. Like him or hate him, love him or hate him. This is the biggest moment of Shedeur Sanders' career. And he gets a fake phone call from who he thinks is the New Orleans Saints. It was not the New Orleans Saints. It was Jeff Ulbrich. He was the DC for the Jets, and he was the interim head coach last year, and now he's the DC for the Falcons. The story is that his son Jax saw Shedeur's number on an iPad that his dad had left open, jotted it down, and went back to his frat buddies at Ole Miss, and then they prank called Shedeur Sanders. Said, we're the Mickey Loomis, I think, for the Saints. We're taking you with our next pick.
Shedeur says, Well, I've been
waiting on you.
Been waiting on you to call me.
Been waiting on you. Well, you're gonna have to wait a little longer. Hangs up.
I can tell you right now. I watched it Saturday night. Payne showed it to me, and I laughed.
I'd feel terrible.
I felt bad for the kid. I do, but it was funny at the time. But now, as it's over, I'm a prankster, so I thought, hey, somebody just went way out of their way, and I thought, God. Now, at the time, I just saw the video of Shedeur. I didn't show the kids.
Then you see the dumbass kids.
Payne says later, he goes, here's the kids that did it. I'm like, why would you show that video? You know what the early rumor was? Joe Schoen, the GM at Giants, his daughter goes to Ole Miss, and that she gave him the number.
Right.
Now, the kid apologized. He called Shedeur. Shedeur took his phone call. It was a stupid move. It was a dumb thing to do, and it was very disrespectful. And I felt bad for him. But this has happened. This has been happening the last couple of years.
Has it?
Yes.
This was just the first one that caught both sides of it.
It's because he was live streaming. The kid that got the white kid from Iowa, Dijon Cooper, that plays safety. Somebody pranked him last year too.
Wow.
But it wasn't live stream, so they didn't know.
And he wasn't fucking free falling in a draft.
No. He was still first round pick.
Like,
but he got pranked, and then I think that the tight end from Michigan that they thought was going to go earlier than he went, that Tyler Warren kid, the one that Skip Bayless is raising hell because Dallas didn't draft.
Yeah.
He got pranked this year too a little bit. So it's happening. Now the NFL issues these kids phones. I did not know that. I think if you're going to be a top so-and-so pick,
Shedeur
NFL
said, I just got this phone today. I just activated it today.
Nobody's supposed to even know this number is what he said. He was so confused.
Yeah.
I felt sorry for him. I did. I don't have nothing against the kid. I hope the kids, we need more good quarterbacks. I hope he is. I wish his dad had let him be his own self now. Deion was a hell of an athlete, arguably one of the top 3 or 4 greatest athletes of all time. But let your kid be his kid. Don't try to go to Cleveland and do shit with him. That coaching staff don't want that no more than you want it. I did read another thing that was pretty interesting, was talking about Deion Sanders. And they said another reason a lot of these teams passed is that we're not talking about Andy Reid's and these established coaches, but if you're Kevin Stefanski and you bring in Shedeur Sanders and you're losing and you got Shedeur and he's on the bench or he starts playing a little bit, they're going to fire you and want to bring Deion in as the coach.
Right.
So nobody wants to hire their replacement by drafting his son.
Yeah.
So I could see that too. It was a perfect recipe, but
I just don't know if you're back to Jeff Ulbrich, I'm a dad now. I don't know what I would do.
Pissed off at your kids.
I mean, what do you do?
I've been mad at you boys. I don't know that I've ever been really mad at you, but the other two I have been.
Like, I don't know how you make that better.
I don't. You can't apologize. That's it.
Right, I don't know.
You know what?
And I mean, what do you do to the kid?
Deion's got 4. You don't do shit. He's 20 years old. Deion's got 4 kids or 5 kids.
I don't know.
Deion knows. He's got kids. That's what I'm saying.
Being
Deion's
dumb.
not mad at Jeff Ulbrich. He didn't do it.
No, I know.
He knows. He's like, a dumbass kid of yours, you know. And
Right. Well, that's an indication on you, though, is what I'm coming to figure out.
It is, but it's not. It's not.
Here's a clip of Deion.
Like that.
Okay.
Like, it's not like who I would like for him to play for. It's a couple teams that I won't allow him to play for. So it's not like that. But this is my profession. I know what's behind the curtain. We ain't got to get back there for me to understand what's behind the curtain is what's not prominent for my son. I'm not doing it. Ain't
And
no
if he
in the world.
doesn't listen to you?
Who? 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 Oh, yeah. You must mean owners, like not my son. Like, my son knows my voice and he understands that I've done this and done that. Like, my kids respect their father because they know their father ain't perfect, but their father's always been present.
And that's
Not
why
like
he didn't
that.
get drafted.
Like,
That's exactly why he didn't get drafted. And Colin Cowherd did a podcast, 16 minutes, and it was on Shedeur, and it said that. He goes, nobody wants to say this because everybody's worked with Deion because he's worked at every network. And he said, people like him. He goes, I don't know him that well. I know him, but he goes, nobody wants to say nothing. So nobody wanted to grade his son at a 4th or 5th or 6th round pick. And he said he probably was the 3rd round pick, 2nd, 3rd round. Probably wasn't a 1st round pick, but nobody wanted to say that. But he goes, I went back and looked at this video you talked about. He goes, I went back and looked at that stuff, and he goes, that's the reason. These teams don't want to. And he goes, when Deion said his son doesn't want to play for certain teams, he goes, he wasn't talking about the Chiefs.
Right.
He wasn't talking about the Eagles. He wasn't talking about going and playing for
He's probably talking about the Browns.
the Browns.
I wouldn't want.
Yeah, Carolina.
Do you want to go to Cleveland?
No, but that's what Colin Cowherd said. So he said the people that he was pointing about that are the people that need a quarterback.
Yeah.
He said the teams that have they're like Baltimore, they don't need a quarterback.
No.
He said, you talking to Jim Harbaugh at San Diego? No. They don't need
Odds
a
are,
quarterback.
if you're a high draft pick, you're going to go to a shitty team.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
That's just the nature of the beast. Not many people fall in the Aaron Rodgers category where you get to go to Green Bay. And I think even the couple years that before that, I don't think they were a playoff team. They might have been like 7-10 or something like that. Green Bay.
Oh yeah, Brett Favre had put him in the Super Bowl.
No. I think in the 2 years before Aaron Rodgers got taken, I don't think Green Bay was a very good team.
Well, they had the 24th pick, so they weren't real bad.
But either way, most of the time you're not going to a playoff contender.
No.
As if you're a good quarterback.
No.
That's going to go early in the draft. But there are situations like Aaron Rodgers where you fall into a good organization that have the pieces around everything and the foundation kind of laid. Because when Aaron Rodgers got drafted, I think they went to the NFC Championship game one year with Favre. So they had good stuff. But a lot of times, if you're an early quarterback, you're going to a dysfunctional organization.
That's why so many of them teams, look at Tennessee.
Always looking for a quarterback.
Yep. Jaden Daniels was different. Washington bringing a new coach.
Yeah.
And they had some good pieces, and the quarterback was their missing piece. They had receivers, they had running backs, they signed Austin Eckler, and they done a good job. But most times, you're right. I mean, Tennessee, Cleveland, who else was at the bottom right there? Tennessee, Cleveland, Jacksonville.
Was New England there?
Carolina, New England. They're all struggling right now.
Yeah.
And so they weren't going to take many quarterbacks. Oakland had the 6th pick. They need a quarterback. They signed Geno Smith. I don't think Geno Smith's long term. Tom Brady worked with Shedeur Sanders. Oakland did not draft him for a reason. It ain't because Tom Brady don't like Dion or Shedeur. It's because there's a reason Oakland did not draft him.
Yeah.
That we don't know about. There's something about him that teams did not like, or he wouldn't have went to the 5th round. NFL teams want to win. So if someone thinks they can get a first-round quarterback that's actually a top 10 player in the 3rd round, they're going to jump all over him.
And I was mistaken. The Green Bay Packers were 10-6 in 2003 and 10-6 in 2004.
Yeah, they had
Lost to the Vikings.
24th pick, so they had to be good.
So,
but he did go to a right spot, and they didn't even need a quarterback. They were just thinking of the future, and because Aaron didn't start for 3 years, and now everybody wants instant gratification. What if Philadelphia would have traded up? Philadelphia was going to draft Shedeur Sanders as the deal. They're paying Jalen Hurts $35 million or $40 million a year, and he's got 4 more years on his contract or 3. Shedeur Sanders was not going there to be their quarterback.
no.
He was going to be the backup for 3 years, and if he worked out good, then he'd maybe be the starter, and they let Jalen Hurts go. Because Jalen, when his legs are gone, he's not going to be an NFL quarterback.
I saw Cowherd saying that the Steelers should sell the farm. Give up draft picks, TJ Watt, sell the farm.
And start over?
Go all in on Shedeur.
Well, he didn't say that in that podcast. He understood.
No, now.
But there's another team there that
But
had
I think during the
Right.
season he was like, go all in on Shedeur.
Yeah, well, they're another team that's dysfunctional when it comes to offense. They've got a great defense.
They're getting Aaron Rodgers.
Probably is going to, and I think that's going to happen too. I think Aaron Rodgers should wait until August gets here when a quarterback gets hurt and go do a good job. But Pittsburgh's not a bad job. It's not a bad job. And they get DK Metcalf that's going to make them better. I think George Pickens is a cancer for them.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have a quarterback. Now, if Aaron Rodgers doesn't sign with them, and let's say that Tua gets hurt week 1, that's a good place for him. Dak Prescott gets hurt. Dallas, I don't understand Dallas because they took some players they needed, but they really need another receiver.
Yeah.
And they didn't go help themselves at all. And I don't understand why they didn't take that tight end from Penn State either.
Skip was freaking out about it.
Oh, big time. And he was going to do have a big video about what the NFL done to Shedeur and stuff. Do you not ever get any accountability on your own? Could you imagine if Shedeur Sanders was not Dion's son and just some regular guy saying about who he wasn't going to play for? And then they say, well, look what the Mannings did with New York and San Diego. Mm-hmm. I didn't agree with that. I didn't agree with John Elway not wanting to play for the Colts.
Yeah, you get drafted.
Yeah, but San Diego traded, and they got Phillip Rivers, who arguably was as good as Eli Manning was, I think.
Right.
And without some bad coaching, Phillip Rivers probably wins a Super Bowl. They had some bad coaching.
Some bad breaks, too.
Yeah, he did. But that's just part of it. But when you dictate where you're going to play and stuff,
you better have a lot of suitors if you're gonna play hardball like that. Because it just came out
or
that
have
nobody wanted them.
exceptional talent.
Yeah. But I mean, if everybody, like, because I think a couple times Dion said they're going to go 1 or 2 or 2 and 3, Travis Hunter and Shedeur. Well, if your tape is that good and you got 32 teams wanting you, then you can. You do have all the chips. But when you get to the 5th round and your phone hadn't rang, you go to Cleveland.
Yeah. Well, the NFL, there's a couple positions that are a quarterback's a rare position. The problem is once you have a quarterback, you don't need another one.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. Like if you're a wide receiver, teams can have 2 good wide receivers.
Yeah.
I mean, if Calvin Johnson was in the draft this year again, I don't give a shit who it is. If you're up and Calvin Johnson's there, you're going to go get him because he's a phenomenal piece. Mm-hmm. Well, if you've got Patrick Mahomes, you're not drafting a quarterback. Not in the first round.
Probably should start taking swings at it.
Not in the first round.
Not in the first round, but
I'd take a guy in the 4th or 5th round, maybe. Yeah, I don't mind having someone capable of filling in, like Aaron Rodgers did. But Patrick Mahomes, outside of injury, he's going to be quarterback for another 7 years.
yeah.
So it don't do you no good to waste a 1st or 2nd round pick on a quarterback. So that position, you don't have any. That's the only position in football where you need one of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so you already limiting where you can go by being an ass like that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the
Your
Shedeur,
shooters are limited.
look at basketball right now. I've watched basketball the last 2 days. God bless my soul. But LeBron James' son, Bronny, last night in the second half of the game, the Lakers got beat in the playoffs. They didn't have one substitute. If you draft a kid to play in the first round, you ought to be able to have him come in and spill a veteran for 5 minutes so he can get a rest. They couldn't even do that. The only reason they drafted him is because of his dad. It's a wasted spot on a roster. And the Lakers, if they get beat one of the next 3 games, they're done. Their season's over. So all that again for nothing. And it's that entitlement with these young players.
Just to make a headline.
All the time. And I think it's biting them in the ass.
Yep.
All right, we got storms to chase tonight, maybe.
No, they're not going to pop.
You don't think so?
Got that ceiling, man. That's not gonna break through the ceiling.
What about tomorrow?
Tomorrow's a better chance, but tonight it's not going to happen.
All right. Well, God bless you. See
God
ya.
bless you.
Bye. Have a good day. See you. Bye.
Bye.